because all you need is good looks and maybe a nice body. And I mean, we're so far left in the world now that like those things don't even matter anymore. Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to my channel. As always, before we get started, take a look at the description box below. You'll find all of the links to my social media accounts. You can keep up with me there, or hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with me here on YouTube. It's getting to the point where people are not constantly, but people are asking me, when's the next video? What's the next topic gonna be? And it's kind of wild because I still can't believe that I'm even making videos, like let alone actually uploading them to YouTube. So it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to get better at being more consistent, but like I said before, I do have so much going on, and that's no excuse. Like, the goal is to have a lot going on, but still, just bear with me. I have a bunch of things going on, and I have a bunch of things that I'm trying to do and incorporate. I'm gonna try my best to get more content on YouTube as best I can, as much as possible. But I appreciate you guys. Like, I appreciate you guys asking me. That means that you guys actually want to see me. Also, my dog is in the background. He's chewing a top. That's the only thing I can give him to distract him right now, so that he's not running all up under me, so that I can finish this video. So if you guys hear like chewing or something in the background, that's what that is. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, etc., etc. I kind of want to jump right into the video because I do have a bit of things to say. So we're no longer living in a time where the sex industry is taboo. And yes, it's still taboo in some places to some people, but it's not what it used to be in terms of no one really speaks about it. Of course, the sex industry has always been there. Of course, it's always been a thing, like always. But it's not as like hush hush anymore. It's actually like completely on display now, just out there being promoted to you. And the reason I wanted to dive into it is because as mainstream as the sex industry and sex work and sex in general has become, it's almost getting pushed onto people. And when I say people, of course I mean men and women, but I mostly want to get to the young women, the young men as well, but definitely the young women, because hopefully you guys can see it too. But if you can't, I'll just go into what I see. I see a bunch of marketing and propaganda being pushed out to young women that don't really have the capacity yet to think for themselves, or don't really have the capacity to weigh different options, or even older women, or even older men, anyone in general. You know, I feel like a lot of us take for granted people that don't really know things, or people that kind of take what they hear or what they see and they really hold on to that. A lot of people gloss over the fact that there really are people out here that hold on to everything that their favorite celebrity says, or that their favorite YouTuber says, or they see on TV, or what they hear in music, whatever. There are a lot of people, especially young people, impressionable teenagers and preteens and young adults, that are trying to find their way out here. And so they're kind of just taking what they hear and what they see and what they think is popular and going with it. With the sex industry, that's really dangerous, because I see a bunch of the good things being promoted, but I don't really see the bad side. And with everything, there's good and bad. And with the sex industry especially, I feel like a lot of people, young men, young women, are getting into it kind of one-sided, thinking like, this is what it is, this is what I can do, this is what I can have. And when they get in it, they realize it's a completely different thing. I kind of just wanted to glance over some of the pros and cons that I personally have experienced or have seen or have been around or whatever. I do want to note that the sex industry is an umbrella, and there's multiple things that fall under that umbrella of the sex industry. So I know a lot of times when people mention sex work, some people automatically go to, well, escorting or the P word. It's very important to understand that every job or every title in the sex industry does not necessarily mean that you're actually having sex. The sex industry is kind of anything that involves you, male or female, using your body or using the physical to make your money or make a transaction or whatever. And so an exotic dancer or a stripper, I told you guys I do like dominatrix, escorting. And escorting, believe it or not, all escorts don't have sex. They're very much escorts that go on dates. There are kind of companionship escorts. There are erotic massages that can be given, even like webcam models or OnlyFans. Like all of that falls under the umbrella of sex work. And so when I speak of sex work, or when I speak of the sex industry, I'm not necessarily speaking about individuals that are definitely having sex. And so I just wanted to clarify that before we go any further. I have 5 cons and I also have 5 pros. I'm gonna start with the pros first because everyone wants to hear the good news first, right? The first pro on my list is the money. Duh, right? The lifestyle. Sex work can be very lucrative. The sex industry can present you with finances and luxuries that you honestly may not be able to find or obtain working a regular job or a regular 9-to-5 or whatever other career choice. The money is the main reason why people get into it, right? Being able to use what you were already born with to make money or fund your lifestyle is amazing. Like, why wouldn't that be number one? Another thing about it is like there's really no cap. Like there's no cap on how much you can make in the sex industry because there's no salary. And not only that, you see, young women, young men flying all over the world, living in great like mansions, living in other parts of the world, being able to buy whatever they want, eat whatever they want, do whatever they want. So it's really amazing to be able to afford luxury, afford whatever it is you want, or even if you're not necessarily into a super high profile life, just being able to pay your bills and support your family, support yourself, whatever, on money that really wasn't that hard to make. The second pro of being in the sex industry is that it's always in demand. It's bound to change. I mean, everything's bound to change. It's always going to be in demand. It's always going to be something that people are going to invest in, put time into, want to be a part of. It's never going anywhere. And so with the sex industry being in demand, it's kind of, you always have a place. I've met so many people that kind of do sex work like part-time, and that's because you can, like literally can do it when you want. And that's going to lead me into my next pro, which is flexibility. The flexibility of the sex industry is very enticing, like almost as enticing as the money, because you can do it whenever you want. I can turn on my phone or my laptop right now and get to work, or you can decide to go to work on a Tuesday and not go to work on a Thursday. It's amazing. You're kind of your own boss, kind of like spoiling. The flexibility of being able to make good money when you want to make money is amazing. And then my fourth pro of the sex industry is the networking. You can meet all types of people working as a sex worker or working in the sex industry. You can meet high profile people, you can meet lawyers, doctors, you can meet you can meet kingpins, politicians, like whoever. It's insane the amount of different faces and people that can possibly become your clientele, and if not your clientele, maybe someone you know, or just you'll see them around. Meeting these people and having these people as clients, or being in a club and serving these people or whatever, you can kind of start to like build a really strong network. Let's say you have a business, or let's say you want to extend your career further than the sex industry, you can absolutely meet so many people to do that. Alongside of that, I've met women and men that have met their significant other in the sex industry. Someone to be able to help them or bring them up or whatever. You can meet anyone in this industry. You never know who is who. The aspect of you being just a regular person in an industry that allows you to come across so many different types of people is really, really great. My last pro that I'm going to leave you with is the confidence. I have met a lot of people that have said once they became a sex worker, their confidence spiked up. When you realize that you as you are is everything that someone wants or is looking for, it kind of changes the game for you, because it makes you feel seen. Not only are you being seen, but you're being paid. You're being paid well. You're being flown out to different countries. You're being taken care of. You're getting this attention. It really does boost your confidence. I mean, of course the money's good, the traveling's good. Being able to like blossom into this flower that you kind of weren't before, just off of you doing you, is really cool. So that's the last pro that I have for you guys. Now that we've gotten the good things out of the way, the first con of working in the sex industry is the safety. Like, you guys saw that coming, right? You have to be careful working in this industry. You have to make sure that you are always on point, that you're always taking care of yourself, constantly understanding that this is an industry where anything goes. A lot of people think that way. The sex industry is kind of like a breeding ground for a lot of different types of people, and you have to take those bad people into consideration. They can absolutely be your demise, especially in an industry like this. You constantly hear stalkers, all kinds of things. And so the safety aspect is very, very important when you're considering getting into this industry. You have to absolutely take into consideration your safety. So that is my number one con of being in the sex industry. Be careful. The next con that I have is the self-esteem aspect and the pressures. I've seen and witnessed and experienced self-esteem issues within the industry as well. Of course, I mean, you are expected to be this fantasy. You're surrounded by beautiful people, male and female. You're surrounded by a lot of money. You're surrounded by a lot of opinions. You want to be the best that you can be within your industry, and you're also kind of looking around at everything else that's going on, and you may become jaded a little bit, or you may become a little insecure, just kind of feeling like you're not good enough. You may be seeing people make more money than you. You may be seeing people with more clientele than you. Another thing is the pressures of it all. I've seen a lot of people start to change as they've gotten in this industry because they feel like they need to change. You know, change is necessary, change is great, but when it becomes the reason that you're changing is because you feel pressure to, that's a problem. And the pressures within the sex industry are very, very real. You know, you may feel pressured to do certain things that you may not want to do. You may feel pressured to be a certain way that you don't want to be, and it can kind of eat you up. It can kind of eat at you. Furthermore, lower your self-esteem even more. And so that's something to definitely be careful of. Try to figure out who you are as a person, and if what you're doing and what you're involved in lines up with that. And if not, run. The third con of being in the sex industry is that there aren't any guarantees. We just spoke about the money and the great luxury and lifestyle you can have. However, there really isn't a guarantee. There's good days and there's bad. There really is no set amount of money. There really is no set amount of work. So you may run into dry spells. You may run into times where you don't have the money that you had before. Seasons where it's a little bit more slow, seasons where it's a little bit more lucrative, and you have to plan accordingly for that. There's a lot of people that kind of expect to be riding high their entire time in the sex industry, and that is just not what it is. You will have your ups and downs with money, with places to work, with all types of things. And so you just have to be prepared. The next con that I have is the secrecy and ridicule / humiliation that you might experience. You may have to make up different excuses. You may have to shield yourself from certain people or kind of shy away from certain things because you don't want people to know, about this other life that you live. Alongside of that, there's a lot of humiliation, unfortunately, that sex workers do experience. A lot of it is ignorance. It's a sense of, I can't let these people know what I do, or I can't be normal in these settings because they're gonna make fun of me. There are a lot of sex workers or people that work within the sex industry that feel like they have to live a double life because they don't want to feel shameful, or they don't want to be laughed at or humiliated. There may be people that are totally against what you do in the sex industry, or they are committed to hating you for it, or committed to not understanding it, and that's okay. If you don't have thicker skin, then you might want to just take it into consideration before you move forward in the sex industry if you're thinking about it. And then the last con that I'm gonna leave you guys with is the element of losing yourself. There are a lot of people that become a completely different person within the sex industry, and a lot of it is because you have to. The person that you are when you go into this industry, I want to say like 85% of the time, it's not going to be the person that you exit out, and that's for a number of different reasons. Like I said, you meet a lot of different people. There's a lot of stigma and different dangers within the industry. There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's fast money. There's a lot of people that aren't used to those things that get exposed to those things all at one time. And then there's also people that kind of just get taken under by the money and by the glamour and the bad things too. It's really unfortunate, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. The propaganda and marketing that's going out, especially to young women, but to people in general, about the sex industry is so one-sided, and there's so many people going into it only looking at the good and being hit with both the good and the bad, and not really knowing what to do, not knowing how to handle it. It takes people that have been in it or have seen it, have some experience in it, to also offer their input. It's not all roses, like it's not all good. If you don't go into it knowing who you are and having a solid foundation, if you don't have a plan. I've seen so many people go into the sex industry without a plan, want to do it, want to experience it, want to get money, want to do all this, and as time goes on, they just diminish in personality, in looks, in overall lifestyle. I know that somewhere along the line, they kind of lost themselves. That is my list of pros and cons of being in the sex industry. And I'm actually gonna leave you with one more con, just because I feel like, why not? You age out. You age out. You age out. The sex industry is not an industry that is meant to be in long term. It's not a career. I'm sorry, but the sex industry is not a career. You get in, you enjoy it, you get what you can get out of it, and you go. That's something that a lot of people just don't consider and don't listen to. You'll have men and women that are kind of still trying to push it after a certain age, and you have to understand it's like a revolving door, because all you need is good looks and maybe a nice body. And I mean, we're so far left in the world now that like those things don't even matter anymore. It's like, if you want to do it, you do it. Eventually, you're gonna have to go. And there's nothing sadder than seeing people that are in the industry that refuse to let it go because they haven't really thought further than the industry. It was never meant to be forever. Get in, get your money, do your thing, have fun, and go. Like, plan, save, whatever. So I wanted to leave you with that little extra one. Yeah, that's my list of pros and cons. Again, I felt that it was very necessary to have this conversation, mainly because I'm seeing so much of the good. Even the people that are experiencing these parts, they're not even, they're telling their friends like, yeah, come, you can make money, and not really, you know, diving into what else, you know, you may have to deal with or what else you may have to see. I hope that you found this perspective of mine entertaining, at least. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I appreciate you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye.